Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you doing? I hope you are doing great. If you are new, my name is Lizzie. You're welcome to my channel. So today we are going to be listening to this beautiful lady that was talking about black and Caribbean black people, the way they was attacking her. They didn't agree for it. So let's dive into it.
Sean Big Carver, yeah. Don't call me Kim Ho. The fuck? Got good pussy, have a
First and foremost, I don't find it inherently problematic for someone to demand respect or acknowledgement of their culture. I want to start by saying that. But this trend in general has sparked this weird diaspora war between African Americans and non-American black folks, and I want to talk about that. I truly don't get why there's an argument about who started this war when there are portions of each community that partake in it. There are African Americans who are ignorant regarding other cultures of black folks. I've seen it. We grew up hearing African booty scratcher. And while that insult was basically weaponized against anybody who was dark skinned, myself included, at the basis of that insult is the fact that a lot of people believe being from Africa is a negative thing. I have also heard grown ass motherfuckers assert that there aren't houses or updated technology in a whole ass continent composed of more than 50 countries. There are also a lot of African and Caribbean black people who seem to carry this air of superiority towards African Americans. Some of you even ridicule us for not knowing our true lineage as though the ship that brought us here was a fucking cruise that we signed up for. So no, this is not either or, it's both of them. And not only is it sad and disheartening, it's pointless. None of us are liberated or celebrated by these exchanges. And there's no need to argue about which flavor of blackness is the best because whether it's fufu, jerk chicken, or soul food, we are all expertly seasoned. Period.
Now, sis, I usually love your content. I really, really do. You always hit the nail on the head. But with this one, I'm going to tell you that you missed. And I'm going to tell you the fuck why. If memory serves me correctly, there was a whole trend on this app with black people on this app trying African food and talking mad smack about it. A whole entire trend. I remember this going around. And obviously, not everybody has to like everything. Not everything is for everybody. But some of the words people use to describe these people's food is completely fucking insulting. I'm from Caribbean descent. I am an immigrant. I came here at a well-developed age, and to fit in with black kids, with African American or with African Canadian kids, I had to change everything about myself. I had to change how I dress, how I spoke, what I was into, just basically everything in general. To just not be the weirdo in school. The most bullying and mocking and laughing about my culture came from other black kids because I never used to hang out with white kids. Take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, or don't. I really don't care. The reason why we have this attitude towards you guys is because you guys seem to have the same sense of entitlement that white Americans do. And the crazy part is you guys don't even see it. What you're mistaken for what you think is arrogance and the superiority that we think we have over you, it's pride. It's pride in our culture, in our food, in things that we had to create out of nothing. And I don't know if you guys know this, but you're a part of that influence too. A massive part of it. Some of you seem to forget that the only difference between all of us is simply a boat ride away. So some of y'all got dropped off in America, the rest of us got dropped off in the Caribbean. You guys have sweet potato pie. We have sweet potato pie. Ours is just called a pudding. When us Caribbean and African descent have our differences thrown back in our face in the negative light from childhood, damn right we're gonna be a little bit fucking touchy about it. And the fact that you guys can't even see it is so mind-boggling to me. This is why I say you have the same sense of entitlement that white Americans do.
Okay. Please go back and watch the entire thing. She's not coming for us, Caribbean people. I promise you that. She's not coming for us. She's having a very important conversation about diaspora wars, which is stupid. I'm going to say that up front so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Secondly, if you are a Caribbean person and you find yourself saying, I'm not like them, African Americans are, African Americans do, African Americans, please understand that that's anti blackness. And what you're doing is perpetuating white supremacy because it's white supremacy that says, African Americans XYZ. And if you think they don't mean your Caribbean and African ass, you're doitish. If you don't see them coming for you and you helping them come for you through attacking African Americans, you're not smart. Do not make an enemy out of a friend.
I feel like the reason that there is a sense of disconnect between us and the other black countries of the diaspora is because, unlike those countries, we actually have to live with our oppressor every day. A lot of Caribbean countries, they've been independent for like 30 years, and even before that, it was predominantly black. There weren't a lot of Europeans actually like colonizing those places and staying there. Whereas in America, obviously, we're outnumbered by our oppressor. And a lot of our culture comes from that oppression. And I feel like that's what a lot of these predominantly black countries don't get or understand. They know what it's like to be colonized, but they don't know what it's like to have to live with your oppressor every day and to continue to be systemically oppressed by that group of people.
Okay, so this creator actually made some really, really good points about xenophobia in the black community. However, I don't like the misleading stitch she took of the previous creator's video. Because the first creator actually did talk about how in the diaspora war, there are a lot of black American people who contribute to it with all sorts of xenophobic ideology about African food, about the state of Africa and whether or not they have electricity or running water. I mean, just all sorts of ignorance. But she also decided to add in how it's still wrong that there are some African people who take pride in wrongful, illogical model minority ideology, right, that gives them this sense of superiority over black American people. And this is not just a trauma response to black American discrimination. This is largely due to the desire of validation from white American people who have often acknowledged that there are a number of African immigrants who have more money, more wealth, and more resources. And not all, but there is a significant number of African immigrants who do agree with these politics and fail to acknowledge the historical and sociological differences that separate Africans and African Americans. From things such as slavery, Jim Crow, right? Then we also had the destruction of a multiplicity of economic centers, as well as the war on drugs, which you guys need to research that, and a number of horrific things that really financially exhausted us. Embracing those harmful, socially disintegrating politics are still wrong. Not to mention selective immigration policies that sometimes favor wealthy immigrants from Africa. Look, I'm all for the protection of marginalized cultures in their communities, but there are so few people on this app who choose to just be fucking for real and be fair and be balanced and be logically consistent. And she's one of the few creators who chooses to do that. So for you to do that misleading stitch and make her argument seem one-sided, I just find that to be really disrespectful. I'm sorry.
Time I got to rant on this app. I got some shit to say about this. So yeah, pretty much what she said in that video is facts. Like, she said everything that needed to be said, but I feel like I just want to talk a little bit more, I guess, on the African side as to why some Africans do not want to associate with African Americans. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand. So when you grow up in an African household, you're pretty much raised up in the culture, the customs, and the traditions. And as you get older, you'll, go on to public schooling, middle school, high school. And let me tell you, those kids are ruthless. Like, honestly, I don't even want to get into it, but they are ruthless. They say the most wild things. And especially if you're African and dark skinned, you're not safe. You will have the worst experience. So really, it's just jokes on top of jokes on top of jokes. Not even jokes for real. They're just like blatant insults because you're African and because you're dark skinned. And the crazy thing is, it be the niggas just as dark as me making dark skin jokes. How does that work? I still don't understand that. You just as dark as me making dark skin jokes. Come on now. So yeah, it's just constant jokes and insults every day. And 10 out of 10 times, it's from African Americans. Every time. And honestly, that's just what I don't understand. Because literally, to the rest of the world, to anyone else, we look the same. They would not tell the difference. But because you know that I'm African, that gives you free reign to pretty much insult me, disrespect my culture, and just say all these things about me. Even though we look exactly the same to everyone else. And that's where most insecurities form within African children. Because the more you keep hearing these jokes about yourself that are clearly insults and things about your skin color and whatnot, you're going to start to think, yo, something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with my culture, what I represent, with myself. And you're going to want to try to change that. And then there's like one or two ways most people go about it. They either keep it under wraps and just try to change themselves so that they could fit in. Or they'll hit you with that line like, oh, my parents are African, but I'm American. Like, nigga, stop it. Stop. Now, me personally, I never really resented my culture or like rejected it. I mean, you see it. But like at the time, I did keep it under wraps because I didn't want to be didn't want to be made fun of constantly. But eventually you'll reach a point in your life in which you want to express that you're African. And pretty much you develop a sense of pride in being African. And I love it. Like, I encourage that. But the thing that comes with that is that some African Americans will feel offended. They will feel like you changed in some way. And really, you ain't even changed for real. If anything, you just started embracing your culture, and they don't know how to react to that, because the same culture that you are now embracing is the same culture they tried to make you hate back then. All right, there is so much more I could speak on about this topic, but I'm gonna end it with this. This diaspora war is pointless, very
Guys,
pointless.
thank you so much for watching to the end. Please just leave your comment down below what you think about this video, and don't forget to subscribe, turn on your notification. Anytime I upload a video, you will be notified. Thank you and stay blessed.